Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about PPP loan fraud. A lot of people have been asking me to give them an update on what the federal government is doing about PPP loan fraud that went on during the COVID pandemic. Now, I don't want to say that the individuals have done anything wrong, but I get a lot of emails, and there were some people at a conference that I was at over the weekend. There were a lot of people that were asking about what's going to be going on with PPP loans. Is there any type of forgiveness programs? Are there any type of settlement programs that are available? And some of the people that I spoke with personally and that have emailed me have gotten loans upwards of $200,000 to $300,000 to $400,000 and $500,000. Now, here's the thing that is going on right now is that the federal government is still actively going after people who they believe committed PPP loan fraud, and there are certain triggers that they're looking for. And the triggers that they're looking for is fake employees or inflated payrolls, multiple PPP loans tied to the same address, no real business operations, using of funds for personal luxury spending. I don't know how they're going to find that. Maybe they'll look at people's they're having AI go through and look at what people were doing during that period of time on their social media accounts. Forgiveness applications with false records, identity theft, or using someone else's business. Let's see here. Here's the civil versus criminal risk. The civil is repayment penalties, asset seizure, false claim acts, lawsuits. The criminal risk is wire fraud because they gave the money through wire. They didn't send a check or anything. And even if they did, they would say mail fraud. Bank fraud, conspiracy, and possible prison time. There's an individual here in the news report that I was looking at, and it said that over 562,000 suspected fraudulent pandemic era claims totaling $22.2 billion are being looked at as of right now. And there was an individual who pled guilty in Missouri, PPP loan fraud, a woman in Florida. These are recent cases, and then an individual was also sentenced to jail time from Louisiana. So these are the things that they're looking for, and the main things is that if you had a legitimate business, or you still had that business, you're struggling to pay. The guidance that I've gotten from speaking directly to Treasury Department representatives, and that's where if you're behind on your loan or have not paid it back or haven't been making any payments, whatever, the Treasury is going to take it over, and they're going to take over the collection actions. It's going to show inside of your account as a charge-off, and then they're going to keep sending you these alerts to try to get you to make payments or to catch up with payments. The guidance that I got from them was if you can't afford the minimum payment that they have within your portal, you're able to request to get a payment reduction. Interest is still going to just keep blowing up, but you're able to get a payment reduction and potentially be able to have lower payments, and you just keep paying on it. Now, something else that I did run into, but it looks like Congress did extend the statute of limitation for PPP loan fraud to 10 years, meaning that a case that was brought or was found and the person had committed fraud, now it could be pursued well into the 2030s. That gives the prosecutors time to investigate bank records, transfers, and shell companies and other false certifications. And you better bet what they're going to probably start doing is utilizing AI to speed up the process. And AI is being integrated into banking, is being integrated into state governments, it's been integrated into all types of things. And what they'll do is just submit through their AI the data points that they want to look at to see if, number one, if a company was really a company registered with the state and local governments. Then they're going to look at the bank accounts. They're going to look at the transactions that was utilized from those funds that were brought in. If they were not legitimate transactions, which they're going to be the ones that arbitrate on if something is legitimate or if it was luxury. And then if any fake forgiveness applications had any false information on those records, that's going to also play into it. And then any identity theft where people used other people's names, false addresses, businesses, there was all types of stuff that was going on. That's going to be triggering. And you better bet the closer to the statute of limitations, it's going to be really triggering these a lot on people. Right now, from the report, they have about 562,000 cases, suspected fraud cases that they're looking at, digging through paperwork and doing whatever they're going to be doing. We'll have to, this is like one of those wait and see. It still hasn't been as bad as people thought it would be, but they are slowly catching up with individuals who committed outright fraud. Like it's like they're working on a tier system. If they see something that was just outright fraud, where they are able to see documents and fake businesses, those are going to be the top of the line of the ones that they're going to do. And then they'll work their way down to the smaller ones. And I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a certain dollar amount that they're going to have as a qualifier. You will usually see that as a federal case where it has to reach, the person would have had to apply and gotten a certain amount of funds for them to feel that it's something that they're going to do. Not to say that they won't send notifications and continue with regular civil collection actions and stuff like that. They would continue that way, but then don't quote me on this, but I don't think that they would go as far as bringing a case against those individuals. All right. I just wanted to give an update on that. And as always, if you need help with your credit or even a situation like this, you just want to get my insider's information. There is stuff that I don't talk about on YouTube about what I had gotten from speaking to the Treasury representative, and that's just because I don't want the information to be abused. You can get a consultation with me, and I can talk to you about what I do know and can kind of give you some relief, because a lot of people are very worried about this, because the federal government can do just about anything if they pull the trigger on something. They could be very expensive. And also, if you got a fraudulent loan in your business name, it could be a very difficult mountain to climb to represent, to even find someone that would be willing to represent you on something like this. If you need help with your credit, remember, you can visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com, watch video What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports, and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you early in the game, grab my 3-pack of letters. Or you can go to summonsmaster.com. Links are below this video. If you're being sued by a debt collector, you can go to summonsmaster.com, where you can get a court-ready response to your lawsuit, avoid a default judgment, and have the opportunity to win your case. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the channel. Post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.